with today's Social Trends On-Air program, the auto industry's newest destination for automotive reputation and social media. I am Ryan Gerardi, your host, and we're here today to talk about Social Dealer's Connect for Content program with CARFAX. And with me today are our guests, Lance Lambert, Regional Accounts Manager at CARFAX, and our Director of Corporate Development here at Social Dealer, Brian Fjeldsted. Gentlemen, great to have you today.
Thanks for having us, Ryan.
And as always with me is my loyal and faithful co-host, Zach Betts. Great to have you.
How's it going?
So Brian, you are the ringleader of our CARFAX partnership and really see that on a day-to-day basis. So I think it'd be great if you could take a moment to introduce our special guest today, Lance.
Thanks, Ryan. First and foremost, before we get into this, we want to really thank CARFAX for joining us today. Lance Lambert, the Regional Account Manager, is taking some time out of his busy day to talk to everybody here, and we really appreciate Lance being on board for this. So thank you very much, Lance, for being here.
So why don't we just fill our guests in real quick before we get into today's discussion. Zach, if you could maybe real quick share your screen. You're watching our Social Trends On Air program. Social Trends is what we've coined our newsletter, our blog, and now our On Air program. Most of you should be watching this from the On Air page on our website. There's a nice YouTube video in the middle that's broadcasting live, and that's probably where you're watching this. So thanks for those that are here live with us today. You can see to the left and to the right there are links to RSVP on Google, on Facebook. If you do RSVP on Google, it'll put it into your Google Calendar, and you'll get reminders about it. And you'll also get any communications that we send through the event page. Same thing with Facebook. So you can RSVP to one or both if you like. I highly encourage everyone to RSVP, even if you think you can't make it or might not. There's no obligation to be here by RSVPing. It just puts it in your calendar so you can remember. You can also subscribe to Social Trends On Air via email by entering your information below. You see recent shows off to the left side.
I'm having a little bit of audio trouble.
No, are we having audio trouble? No, we're good. Lance probably can't hear us, but he'll be able to hear Brian, so we'll have to relay. Zach, why don't you do me a favor and just explain the hashtag and how that works for people?
Sure thing. So we have a hashtag on Twitter and Google Plus called hashtag Social Trends On Air. And if you guys want to get involved in the discussion we're having, just feel free to use that hashtag. Right down below the video that you're currently watching, we have this little section here where you can just click and watch the live comments coming in. If you have a question, just put it there and I'll chime in with these guys, let them know. I'll also be following it here on Google Plus. So whenever you got something to say, just go ahead and speak up.
Great, and that applies even before, during, and after the show. So for folks that might be watching this in a recorded format, you can always use a hashtag to chime in even afterwards. It's a 24/7 call-in line, basically. A little disclaimer: we are encountering some audio issues when we do screen changes. So if you see Lance come in and out, it's only to get the audio fixed. So we'll just try to have fun as we work through those. So. That's why we do our practice sessions, to nip all this in the bud. Well, thank you, Zach. So why don't we get things started? Let's talk about content for a minute. Content's big buzz. You've heard for the past couple of years, content is king. Over the past few years, it's been about using content to drive SEO traffic to your website. But social media is really, I think to say that it's taking advertising by storm is almost kind of an understatement. So, now we have not just content, but we have social content. Brian, could you maybe help us define what social content is for our audience?
Sure, that's a great question. Content really is nothing more than information, news, pictures, videos, anything that is put out on social media that consumers find, or customers and prospects find interesting. So, if you can all you need to do is look here as an example of a post here. This is content. It's, CARFAX put this together about a nice young lady putting on her safety belt and talking about the importance of, during the travel season, to make sure that you're obviously buckling up. So that's the kind of content that is engaging, that's automotive, that we find that consumers actually engage with.
Great. And so how would you say that, I mean, how does that affect the auto shop? Or obviously it catches their interest, but what happens with that content? What do they do with that information?
So that's a good question. So the content, there's several things that go on. Obviously, number one, if the content is engaging, they have an opportunity to share it with their friends. They can comment on it. They can like it on Facebook. And anytime they're doing that, that's a branded impression for you to be in front of that consumer. And those impressions, as you know, over time will help build your dealership's consideration. So when they are ready to buy from you, service from you, they're top of mind. So it's really a great branding tool to help you make sure that you're consistently in their mind, in their newsfeed, and apparent to them. So when they are ready to make that purchase, you're the first one that they think about.
Yeah, I like to call it content. I mean, it's what people consume and it's what they interact with. And Lance, you might want to chime in as far as how that content, really affects dealers at their level. I would lead that by pointing out that the great thing about digital media today is that we can track and better understand what people are doing with content that's out there.
Yeah, it's very true. That's one thing, Ryan, you're right, about the trackability and accountability with online, rather it be advertising or social media in general. It is a huge deal. And more of our dealers, we find, are tracking that. They're tracking the behavior of their customers. So it really bridges that relationship between the dealer and the potential customer, like Brian mentioned, sometimes even before the buying purchase. It's just that familiarity and what they call top-of-mind awareness in advertising to build that relationship and that rapport with that potential customer.
So where does CARFAX come into play? How much content is CARFAX producing? What are some of CARFAX's maybe goals and objectives, and even some of their expectations with the content they produce?
Really, our expectation is to get some excellent messages out there to the consumer, again, to make sure that they're having that relationship, that potential relationship with the dealer, sometimes before they even make the buy or make the purchase. A lot of what is put out, Brian, and I think Zach has a few examples for us, they're really ambiguous. They aren't specific to a certain make or model, import, domestic. It's really more so just general best practices and recommendations. So we try to get this content out on a fairly common frequency, not inundating the end user, but also it's an option for when the dealer wants to push this out in front of their consumer as well, which Brian will share.
That looks like a picture from National Lampoon's Vacation. That I was just
That's a really good one, as was Brian will tell you the stats on that boat one was pretty phenomenal as well.
So Brian, since you really lead the way as far as helping and working with CARFAX to produce the content that comes out, maybe you could explain some of the thinking behind that, maybe the frequency of the content that you're producing with CARFAX.
Sure, that's a great question. So we try to provide dealers content that's regular enough that they can put on their Facebook page. That we find that twice a week is something that is enough, but it's not overdoing it. That dealers can choose twice a week to put that content on their page. Whether or not they want it twice a week or once a week, it's really up to them to decide, because our process allows them to accept or deny those posts based on if they like that post and when they want it to go out. So it's very, very, very dealer friendly. As far as when we try to do it, we try to do one around midweek, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then one on the weekend. Actually, what's interesting is the ones on the weekends do very, very well. And what we find is that dealers typically aren't putting out posts on the weekend. So they really find this as an extra value, because they're busy trying to sell cars on Saturdays, and they're typically off on Sundays, or busy trying to sell cars on Sundays as well. So the Saturday or Sunday posts work really, really well as well, because consumers are on Facebook all the time. Not just on Mondays, Tuesdays, or Wednesdays when somebody's on site at a dealership to post a piece of content on Facebook.
Hey Zach, do me a favor. Go to the, I think it's a blog post we have that really shows this whole Connect for Content program that we have with CARFAX. Yeah, that one right there. One of the things that came up, Brian, that we observed at NADA this year was was kind of it was actually the perfect storm in a way. Every dealer that we talked to, for the most part, said, you know, I have these social sites, but I just don't have the time to produce content and get good content out there. And that we know that that's led to you know, a lot of our business at Social Dealers and of having to manage social media for the dealers and coming up with content for them. But then on the other side, we're talking to, you know, other entities such as CARFAX, just all the, you know, the big names out there, the consumer brands, and they're like, we have all this content, but you know, we need to get more exposure. We need to get, you know, more distribution of it, and we know that the dealers are the key to that. And so, you know, that's where Connect for Content comes into play. So let's back up a minute, Brian. Introduce what the Connect for Content program is that we have with CARFAX, and then we'll get into how dealers can take advantage of that.
Sure, Ryan, you set it up beautifully. It's really the idea that, you know, day to day dealers aren't really in the mindset of setting up content to put out on their social media sites, but CARFAX has tons of great content that they would love to share to with their dealers, so that dealers can share that with their fans at the local level, and at the same time build that affiliation with their dealership that they are a CARFAX dealer and proud to be a CARFAX dealer. And so the real idea here is really just simply connecting the content providers with the people that need the content, which are the dealers. And so that's where the Connect for Content idea came from. And ultimately, CARFAX has done a great job of helping dealers get that content right down to the local level.
Lance, do you have anything to add to that before we kind of get into how dealers can really tap into this?
Yeah, just one thing. You know, it definitely has been pivotal, and the feedback we've gotten from the dealers has been excellent. And really, you know, our goal is to continue to build consumer confidence. So, like you mentioned, you know, our dealers love to share the fact that they are a partner with CARFAX. That they have that full transparency, and it is a common ground that both the dealer and the customer trust. So that's where we've really found the success with the program, is kind of tying the two together, kind of bridging that relationship. So,
Zach, that was a great screen. If you could go back to the help guide. So we showed the blog post, which really explains the whole program. And there's a few calls to action in there, links to different resources, and one of those is this help guide. And what you can do is, as a dealer, you can sign up to receive this help guide, and it'll give you a step-by-step process, which is really simple, and we're going to show it in a second. I'll have Brian walk us through that. But you can sign up to receive this help guide, and it walks you through the process. And that blog post links to the other screen that Zach had up. And Brian, why don't you just show us how simple it is.
Perfect.
What you've got to do to get going.
Okay, great. So let's say the dealer has said, yeah, you know what, I want this great content. How do I do that? Well, you go to connect.socialdealer.com/CARFAX. There you'll get to a landing page that is shown here, and you hit Connect Now. When you do that, or start sign up, when you do that, you will go through a simple 3-step process to connect your Facebook and Twitter pages to our platform. Along the way, we need to capture your name, your email address, and so we can send out the emails to you that you can then from your desktop or from your mobile phone, you can approve or deny all of those future pieces of content very simply, and once you've approved it, we'll schedule it to go right to your Facebook page. And it's really as simple as that. So we've tried to make the process very easy. You don't need a login ID or password. You don't need training. All you need to do is basically give us access to your Facebook, Twitter accounts, give us your email address and your name, and we'll send you that content, and you can approve and deny it just as you want. The other thing is if once you have trust in the content over time, and you just say, hey, you know what, I just want to auto approve all future CARFAX posts, you can click on auto approve, and those posts will come automatically. You don't even have to approve or deny the posts in the future.
And Brian, if I could just step in for 1 second. You know, we've made the process to sign up as simple as we can, but we still understand that sometimes you need a little extra help with getting through it if you want this content. So that's why we provided everybody with a help guide that's free to download. You can just go ahead and get it. It's right on the sign-up page. You just click on that sign-up help guide. And if you want a more personal touch, we're going to be having a webinar next week on Monday. No, I'm sorry, that's Tuesday, my apologies, on the 7th. If you'd like to register for that, we'll be giving you a very personal walkthrough on how to sign up, led by Brian himself here.
And everyone that joins the webinar, we'll walk you through the process live while we're there doing it. And as a caveat for doing that, we'll start sending you free CARFAX content.
There you go.
It really is that simple. And Zach, thanks for mentioning the webinar. We'll probably have that recorded for people that want to walk through. And I'll just point out how simple it is. It's when you go to a lot of websites, you'll often see under the login section, it'll say log in using your Facebook account. And as long as you're already logged into Facebook, you click on that blue login button, and you're logged into that platform. It's the exact same process right here. So Brian, you read the URL, but for our audience, I'll point out, just start keeping an eye out for, you might get emails from us. You'll see it in some of our blog posts. You might see, when you're logged into our platform, you might see a little graphic that says click here to connect for CARFAX content. You might be on CARFAX's side seeing these calls to action. You just click the button, and 1, 2, 3, bada boom, bada bing, and you're all set, and a couple times a week you'll start getting content. Well, great. Lance, you have the last word. So as we wrap this up, I'm going to give you the final word. What do you have for us?
Thank you. Well, again, this is something that, from CARFAX, we do have some excellent information we'd love to get out there. As you gentlemen mentioned, this is a perfect platform for it. It's getting the information to the people, and again, following along those lines as far as transparency and just giving them more information, because information is key. The program is free and offered to all of our CARFAX customers, of course. And again, it's just continuing to build consumer confidence with the relationship that our dealers already have with us. And we want to continue to do so in the future and continue to develop programs like this to make them successful.
Great. Hey, Lance, I really appreciate you making it today and representing CARFAX. We'll give a little shout out to Rick Brennan, who's on a plane at the moment. And
pinch hitting.
And hey, for people that are watching, we have lots of different types of on-air sessions. So, we're looking to have panel discussions. It doesn't just have to be one featured guest. We have all sorts of ideas. So visit our the on-air page on our website. There's a button towards the bottom right that says, interested in being a guest. Fill that out, and just let us know that you're interested in coming on the program and talking with us. Lance, you're welcome to come back anytime. Not just to talk about content and CARFAX, but you have a lot of expertise to share. So you let us know, and we'll be glad to have you back on the show.
You guys are great. Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Okay, Zach, thanks again for everything with the great screen shares and whatnot, and Brian, thanks for lead on things.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, definitely. We'll be back in 3 weeks. Can't think of the date. Zach, you know the date?
We're going to be coming back on the 24th of May.
24th of May, and we will be talking about Facebook advertising. Really hot topic right now, so we'll be back. And remember to chime in on Twitter with #SocialTrendsOnAir. Everybody have a great day, and we'll see you in a few weeks.